So most of you watching have hundreds, if not thousands of connections online, subscribers or followers, but yet we still find ourselves lonely. And with that in mind, I would like to explore the difference between a network and a community. What if those online communities are essentially better described as networks? In order to do this, we're going to be looking at these different metrics, starting with nature and core. In a network, the nature is more transactional. It's money, it's credit cards, it's followers and likes. That's more transactional, like subscribe to my channel. And so it's more about who do I know that could help me get more subscribers, that could help me get a better job. Again, it's transactional. And a community, on the other hand, the nature is more reciprocal. It's more about who am I with. It's about the quality of the relationships, not the quantity. It's also about helping each other. Instead of money and credit cards, we use blood, sweat, and tears. The time we spend is about quality, forming that relationship itself. All right, so now we look at power and control. In a network, we end up with a top-down shape, essentially meaning that the people that have the most transactional power end up top. So these people are the movers and shakers of large network transactions. Their control, it's more opaque and unilateral. We don't really have an equal say. Whereas in a community, the power and control, well, it's more distributed. It's evenly distributed among the people around a circle. A best representation of a healthy community is a circle, meaning that everyone in that community can have an equal say, more or less. And the control is transparent. The leader in that community, we know who that person is, the moves that they make, they're made public. And that leader is receptive to the influence and suggestions of the rest of the community members. So now your role and the value in a network would be more akin to being a node or a resource or data point, essentially a brick in the wall, because it's judged on your value. And that value is based on what you produce. Whereas a network is about what you produce. In a community setting, your value is about who you are. And so your role is the person, is the story, is the neighbor, the role you play to other people within that community. So you're part of a thread rather than a brick in the wall. You're part of constructing something greater than you. The next metric we're looking at is belonging. In a network, because of what we discussed earlier, it's more conditional. It's based on what you produce. So there might not be a market value on what you produce anymore because there's a new technological advancement. And so you're no longer as valued as you once were. And a community, on the other hand, it's more mutual. Your belonging is welcomed and you want to be a part of this, full-heartedly involved in that community because your story is appreciated and welcome. Having looked at all that, we could distill the essence now of what a network is. And we could conclude that the essence is essentially that a network is a machine made for extraction. A community, on the other hand, is a circle of belonging because your story is valued, because the control and the power is evenly distributed and transparent. We end up with a circle of belonging. The last thing we're going to be looking at is loneliness in a network. After realizing belonging is conditional and we're nothing more than a brick in the machine made for this extraction, well, the loneliness, we could conclude, is high. Whereas in a community, because the valuing of who we are, we end up with low loneliness. Now, we can still be lonely, but that deeper feeling of belonging and the quality relationships that we make, that quality reduces the amount of loneliness that we feel because we feel a sense of fulfillment on a deeper level. Now that we've looked at all this, I do want to highlight that I am not making a case of avoiding networks altogether. Networks have a major part in our human experience. Networks have played a major role in the evolution of our human species, technological advancements, etc. What I am advocating for is to recognize that if we spend too much time in a network, we could expect higher degree of loneliness. So in order to balance this result, I suggest a greater degree of immersion within a community, spending more time with our family, with our friends, to balance out the negative consequence that network could produce, which is higher degree of loneliness. I hope you found some value in this chart, and I hope to continue discussion with you online about this important distinction between a network and a community.